Welcome back to episode 42 of Working Towards Our Purpose. Thank you for listening and being here. Today, I want to talk about goals. But before we get into that, I do want to have a little intro, talk about what I'm excited about, in this week. I think I've kind of already done that in the other episodes, but for whatever reason today, I was thinking about it and I was like, oh, that's like a nice way to start a podcast, talk about something that I'm excited about and, something positive. So, I think I'll make that like a reoccurring sort of intro segment. But for this week, a couple things I'm excited about. As I mentioned last week, my friend Michael Sean is having his studio, Unison Studios in North Haven, open. And today is an open house. So I will be there all afternoon, kind of hanging out. And, hopefully people will be coming by and trying to check out the space, and I'll be showing them around the space, and there's some lessons going on and some other cool stuff. So if you happen to be in North Haven at, anytime today, you can pop in. It's at 36 Broadway, and there's also going to be a ribbon cutting ceremony at 2 p.m., which will be fun, through the Chamber of Commerce. And excited to get that going, and having it a place where music exists and podcasts and all things creative audio. That's one thing. And then the second thing is I will be at a farmer's market on Sunday this week. And it's the old market that I used to manage in Edgewood Park in New Haven. One of my friends and vendors that are there, South Haven Farms, Stephanie asked me to take over for her. So I will be manning the tent at South Haven Farms this Sunday. So if you want to get some produce, you can stop by and say hi to me as well. Definitely excited to get back into a farmer's market. Relish Roots isn't quite there yet. So this is a nice little in between one-time thing that'll be fun to be out in the market environment and to see the community and connect with a bunch of friends. So excited about that as well. Today I want to talk about goals because last Saturday I was going through kind of the goals that I had already set maybe a month or so ago and sort of refined them. And I think it was like a nice process, and it just got me thinking a lot about goals and like how I've always treated goals and like thought about them. And I think, I've always kind of hated the question like in interviews and stuff where it's like, where do you see yourself in 10 years or even 5 years? Because it just seems like such a long period of time, and it seems almost like a guess, I guess. Where am I going to be in 10 years? Perhaps that's just me, but that's always seemed a little too far out of reach. But I would always do like yearly goals, like, New Year's comes and in late December, I'd always kind of think about like what I wanted to do, whether it was like my business or personal. I would usually have like both. And I would kind of just like think about them for a day and like come up with them and write them down and then kind of never look at them again. And it wasn't really something that was like helpful, I guess. Maybe it was. Maybe I don't want to say they weren't helpful. They certainly like, got me excited about the year and like pointed my focus in a direction, but it was never, I never like used those goals to like accomplish them. Like it was kind of just like a chance if I did accomplish them or if I didn't accomplish them. Just really thinking about how to like make goals useful, because I also think that they could be like a negative thing. I think sometimes you could think about like making goals and it's stressful and you don't want to do it, or it seems like something that you have to do and it's not actually helpful. So today I have like 3 things that could like help make goals useful, like help you to accomplish your goals and to think about like what they are a little bit more. And so the first one of those 3 little tips is taking the ego out of your goal. And I kind of went through this with one of my goals this past weekend. And so I've always had a goal of like having a music studio where I could, I envisioned like this physical location where it was like a proper studio and there was a bunch of equipment and instruments, gear, all that kind of stuff. And I can go there, I can make music. It'll make me feel like a musician. I could have people come in and record them and stuff. So that was one of my goals. And I really started thinking about like, why do I want this goal? And like, what was the thing that I really wanted? And I kind of thought about it for a while, and I was thinking that the thing that I actually wanted was just to be making music, and to be making music with friends and people that, you know, I admire and like value as musicians. And I don't need a studio to do that. And I don't know, it's kind of just like a switch that went off in my head, and I was like, oh yeah, I don't actually need a studio to do that. I have friends that have studios. I have friends that have spaces to be loud. I do all of my recording in my own apartment now, for the most part. So like, why do I need a studio that then becomes this overhead that I then have to like find ways to support and justify, and kind of distract myself from the real goal of just making music. So I kind of let that go, and I was like, well, I don't think I need a studio anymore. And then I started thinking about like, okay, well, what is it that I want? What is the goal that I, feel like I want to do? And then the thing that came to mind was just like, well, what's my next project? And that was like really helpful to think about, like, what do I want my next musical project to be? And then that just became my goal. So, I think last year I set a specific goal for music related, and I was like, all right, every month I'm going to write, record, and release a song. And then every month, at the end of the month, I'll release a single. And then by the end of the year, I'll have 12 singles. It'll be, as many songs as an album, but I'll do the process 12 times instead of kind of doing it one time, for the intention of doing it more and getting better at it. And so far I've been like spot on with that goal. I've released 7, at the end of this week, my 7th song comes out, 7th single comes out, and I felt really good about that. And I think part of that goal, like kind of coming true, was that I made it so specific. And so I was thinking about that as I was thinking about like, well, what's my next goal for music if it's not going to be a studio? And it's going to be a project, and it's going to be an album. I want to record an album, but I also want to like bring in my friends to help me. And yeah, I really went crazy on the dreaming of it. And I think that I not only just want to like record an album, but I also want to record like a live album to accompany the album, which will basically be the same songs, but I want to bring in my friends to have different variations of it, and to do a live recording, and to really get other people involved. I also want my friend Sam to produce it for me, or to help produce. And then I started thinking about it, and I was like, well, man, it'd be great if I could like pay my friends to do this work. And then I kind of went down the rabbit hole of like, okay, well, how do we fund it? Like, how do I get funding? And started thinking about like, labels, which, probably unrealistic for somebody who doesn't have any following. But then I started thinking about like, well, what about like grants, like for arts, and like, what other options are out there? And started getting really excited about like, how can I make this project like work for everybody and not just be like something that's for me. It is for me, and it's self-serving, but it's also, getting to do cool things with the people around me. So yeah, got really excited about that goal. And yeah, so I guess I would just say, to get back to the idea of like taking the ego out of the goal, like, I think sometimes you can think that you need something or think that you want something, but maybe you don't actually really want it. And it's just, something that's been going around in your head for a while. I think I always thought like, yeah, studio is great. That's what people who make music have, is studios. But when I really thought about it, I was like, do I really need this? So I guess kind of a process of just like really stripping down what your goal is and thinking about the thing that you actually want and the thing that actually like makes you excited about it. So if that makes any sense, I think taking the ego out of the goal and thinking about just the physical thing that you want, like what is the thing that I want from this? So that was really helpful for that specific music goal for me. The second thing that I think could be really helpful with goals is doing them now, like not waiting to do them. Like I mentioned earlier, when I used to make goals, like yearly goals, I would just come up with these things that I thought I wanted to do during the year. And I was like, yeah, maybe like halfway through the year, I'll start doing this thing, or, at some point when I have enough time, I'll do this thing. And then they just really never end up happening because I didn't have any sort of like direction with it. I just assumed that they would happen in the future. So I think something that's been really helpful for me is all the 3 goals that I came up with and I feel good about, I'm kind of doing them already. And I think that makes them so much more obtainable, and you feel like you're kind of doing it already. And I don't know if that makes sense, but I think that if you can have a goal that kind of just expands upon the things that you're doing now, that could be really helpful. And of course you want to, like, the point of goals is to like do, more things, bigger things. But I'm also doing that at the same time. So I guess kind of just like challenging what you're doing, but also kind of starting it now. Like, and even if it is a brand new goal, like maybe there's something that you can start right away that's like super easy and a low lift, but it also gets you to keep thinking about that goal. Cause I think that's part of it too, is to think about them more than just when you're creating them. So that kind of brings me to my third point here, which is refining your goals. And, this kind of goes hand in hand with the starting them now, I guess, but refining your goals, meaning like check in on them. And like don't just write them down and never look at them again. I think it's like an active process to like look at your goals and to check in with them. And this came to my attention because I had written down goals about a month ago, and that some of them felt good and some of them were just like kind of arbitrary, like the studio one. But I went through them again and looked at them, and I was like, which one of these do I really care about? And I kind of refined them after a month of, working towards some of them. And then I was really just kind of thinking about which ones still felt true and which ones like I didn't really need anymore. So I think that's also a really helpful thing to think about your goals. It's okay to change them and to make up your mind on something. And, for me, like letting go of the studio idea, that seems like it's such almost a weight off of my shoulders, because I think that I thought that that's what I wanted for so long. And now just being like, you know what, I don't really need that. That's not something that I really care about that much. It's not to say maybe I'll never have one. Maybe I will in the future, but right now that's really not that important to me. And I think when you can like refine your goals and check back in with them and be, like honest with yourself, it can be a good process of like really honing in on what it is the goal is that you're trying to accomplish. So I think that's worked well for me. And I'll probably continue to do that. Like maybe I should set like a reminder once a month or something to kind of like check in on my goals and see if they still feel like good goals, and like look at the progress I've made and maybe how I can do more of what's working, less of what's not. But yeah, I think like having your goals like feel good is like something that's new to me. I've always written down goals and been like, yeah, those sound great, I think, and then kind of just laid them aside. So really looking forward to like having these active goals. And I guess now that I'm thinking about my goals, maybe it's helpful to also say what they are, speak them out loud. I believe in accountability, and I think the more you talk about what you're doing, the more you can again refine it and figure out like what exactly you're trying to do. First music goal for me was next year is to come out with an album. and an accompanying live album with my friends that are going to play on it, and all kinds of cool stuff there. And then the second goal, which maybe I mentioned before, is becoming an author. I have a goal of writing a book and becoming an author. And the third goal is to turn working towards our purpose, the podcast, my Substack, into something that is a business that can sustain and support me. And each of these kind of have like different timelines, and I kind of got a little bit granular with, or I don't know if that's the right word, granular, specific on like, sub steps and stuff like that. And they each take, different estimations of time, and I got really specific on it. Again, I think that's a really important thing for getting a goal to actually come true, is to be super specific on it. Maybe that's number 4 that I didn't have on my notes here. But yeah, number 4 being get really specific with your goals, because the more specific you get, the easier it is to just like put in the work. And I think it became really easy for me to just do my music goal for this year, because I knew exactly what I had to do. I had to write a song. I had to, get the arrangements and everything, record it, mix it, master it, publish it in a month. And every month I'm doing that. And I know exactly what I have to do. So just going and doing that becomes a lot easier, because I don't have to think about what I'm doing. It kind of brings to mind like the classic example of like, if you're trying to work out in the morning, lay your clothes out so you don't have to think about it when you get up, because the more you think about it, the more distracted you get and the more further away from actually doing the goal you'll be. So yeah, 4th one would be make your goal super specific. And yeah, and obviously goals, or not obviously, I told myself before this I was going to stop saying that, because that's a filler word that I keep using, and I don't like using obviously, so so cut that. But yeah, to recap, 4 tips to have your goals come true. First one is taking your ego out of it, thinking about what it is that you really want, without the outside noise of society or your boss or somebody else telling you what you think you want. Second tip would be to start your goals now in some small way. Start all of your goals as fast as you can, as quickly as possible, just to keep momentum going and to keep thinking about them. Third would be to refine your goals and to keep checking in on them to see if they're still ring true to you or not. And it's okay to adjust them and to change them and to have new ones, and to just see how they feel for you and to be like aware of that. And then the 4th is to be specific and make your goals specific. And I think the more specific you can make them, the easier it is to follow them and to make them come true. So yeah, hopefully this was helpful to think about goals and to think about what your goals are, and challenge you maybe to come up with some goals, or to think about your goals if you have some already. How can you refine them? Just another reminder, what I set up, or I said on the end of the last episode, you can book a free 30-minute call with me to talk about your dreams. There's a link in the show notes, and I'd love to talk about things that you're excited about. So I'd love to do that. And I got a Google link where you can pick a time that works within my schedule and it works for you. And then lastly, to also follow me on Substack. I think that's right now the biggest way to support what I'm doing is to follow me on Substack, to share my Substack. And yeah, that's all I got for you today. Hope you got a great week. Hopefully, maybe I'll see you at the studio later on, or at the market on Sunday. And if not, I'll see you next week on an episode. All right, take care.